Hello, Consciously Parenting community, and welcome to the Conscious Coffee Break. I'm Jen Kobrick. I'm a holistic family consultant with the Consciously Parenting Project. And today we're going to talk about parenting as a relationship versus a role. So this is a little bit of a reframe, this episode. So we tend in our culture commonly to think of parenting as a role. So similar to our role in an office place or our role in a volunteer organization or something like that. Some thing that we have a list of duties, perhaps an amount of time that's expected, and a clear goal and purpose and reason for our engagement with it. And that's not to say that we don't care about it. I mean, that may be true for some people with their work, but it doesn't have to be. Something being a clearly defined role that is not your whole life does not mean that you don't enjoy it or care about it, that you're not passionate about it. But it does mean that we tend to give ourselves sort of very specific markers of what does success look like. We're gonna tick these boxes, and that's how I know that I have discharged this role effectively. That's how I know I've done my job. And the other thing that it does is it tends to compartmentalize our lives. So for most people, when you're on the clock at work, your employer probably doesn't want you leaving for an hour to go work out. That would be considered something that needs to be done on your own time. So when you are not in the role that you're in that job. There may be exceptions. But in general, in our culture, when we think of something as a role, we tend to think of when I'm doing this role, that is my existence. That is what I'm doing. And other things like self-care, personal projects, personal goals, those things need to happen when I'm off the clock, so to speak. And I see this happen a lot with parents, where parenting is a role. And so, parenting may have different hours than a role in a workplace, but the expectation is that when I'm parenting, I am in this parenting role full force. That is what I'm doing. I am not also taking care of myself. I'm not also, pursuing things that I'm passionate about. I am being a parent. And this is how I know, because I'm ticking these boxes that tell me that I am doing this job successfully. And then it becomes very, very important that my kids go to bed at a certain time, that they sleep until a certain time in the morning, that they do so independently, so that I have time when I'm off the clock and can do the things that are mine, my personal things. And it also becomes then very important to have breaks away from children, whether that's when a partner is taking over, or a grandparent or babysitter, or when kids are at school, or whatever the structure of that may look like. But it becomes vital that we have those times that we're off the clock, that we have those times for ourselves. And so the reframe and shift that I want to bring to this is, when we think of a relationship instead of a role, a relationship is not necessarily something we're actively engaged with at all times, but it never stops and goes away. And we generally think of a relationship as something in which, a healthy relationship, as one in which our own needs are getting met, as well as what we contribute to the needs of the other person or other people, and the needs of the relationship itself. So as an example, if you are parenting with a partner, most of us think of our partner as being someone we're in relationship with. I'm not a wife from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then I'm off the clock, right? I'm always a wife, but that doesn't mean that I am always doing something for my husband at every moment, right? And there's an expectation that in the space of that relationship, my needs are getting taken care of, and his needs are getting taken care of, and our needs in the relationship are getting taken care of. Likewise, I am not a daughter only on weekends, right? I am a daughter 24/7, 365 days a year, though I don't necessarily interact with my parents every day. And the same is true for all of our personal relationships, right? When we think of something as a relationship, we think of it as something that is constant, always present, but that we flow in and out of interacting with. And we all know that we have relationships with our kids. This is not to say that it's a reframe to think of being in a relationship with your kids. The reframe here is to think of parenting as a relationship rather than as a role or a job. So to think about parenting in that same kind of context of it's something that you flow into and out of, doing more actively or less actively, right? You're always a parent 24/7, 365 days a year, even if your children are grown and have left home. But you're not parenting actively at every moment of every day. And depending on the ages of your children and their needs, there may be more or less time of the day that you are actively parenting. And that in a relationship also, there's an expectation for that space to meet the needs of every person. Give me 1 minute, sweetheart. I'm almost done. So that's what I want you to take into your week this week and think about it. What would change? What would change about how you go about doing parenting if you think of parenting as not something that has boundaries on the commitment like a job, but rather something that flows in and out like a relationship. So if you're feeling a need for some self-care, for example, some need to do some stretching or some journaling or something that feeds your soul, helps you calm down, whatever it might be that you're feeling like you need, moving your body. Instead of thinking of, okay, when am I going to be done here and off the clock and have time for myself, thinking of it as, okay, when is there going to be an ebb in the relationship where there's a space that my needs can step into. And if you have comments, questions, if you want to share what that's like, if you try that out, then please put those in the comments. And as always, if you need anything from us, you are welcome to send us a private message as well. Have a lovely week, and I will see you next week on the next coffee break.